Well, I'm getting ready to sit down, tell you another story. It's been a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks since you've seen me. I haven't changed much. I think I gained a couple pounds though through Christmas. Now I hope you can hear me good because camera's at one end of the table and I'm at the other end of the table. So I'll do my best to make myself understandable. What you see in front of me is my Christmas present. You remember me showing it to you? This is my cake stand that I got for Christmas. The one that my daughter gave me. And I hadn't used it yet. But it calls for square cake pans. I don't have any but one square cake pan. And I need two just to light. So I just used a little bundt pan. No, I didn't use a bundt pan. I went to Kroger's and bought this cake. I wasn't about to bake a cake and hope that it would turn out okay. I'd just rather buy it and maybe I could fool you into thinking I'd made it. I don't do very well with cakes. Never could do a layer cake because the time I got to the top layer of the cake, it would slide off the icing, and you know what that means. Trouble, trouble. But this is a lemon cake, and I'm anxious to get into it, even though my blood sugar's up a little bit, and I know I'm not supposed to be eating these sweet, but I give in and do it anyway. I can just live so long. Okay, I've thought and thought about what kind of story can I give these people in the middle of January when the weather's everything but what you want it to be. My little neighbor down the hall, she's a tiny thing. She's a couple of years younger than I am, and she travels a lot. She came down trying to give me some apples, some asparagus, some red pepper. She had 2 containers of soup and some carrots. And I said, I've got all of that stuff. I don't need it. And she says, well, I'm going to Florida for 9 days and it won't keep. I said, yeah, some of that stuff will keep. Just stick it in your refrigerator and put part of it in the freezer. So she's gone to Florida, left this morning, and I'm so tickled for her because she's meeting her daughter at Fort Lauderdale. Her daughter has been living in Israel. She hasn't seen her for a long time, and I'm hoping they have good weather and a good get-together. And I don't know. Yes, she said she's going to be there 9 days, so I don't know if the daughter's going to be there longer or what her plans are. But anyway, she's a sweet little lady. She's always sharing her food with me, and I do the same with her because when you live alone, a big head of cauliflower is going to last a long time. Head of cabbage is going to last a long time. Your milk won't keep forever, and just goes right down the list that way. So you start trying to divide up what you've got, and when you make a pot of soup, it's a pot big enough for 12 people. A lot of that gets down the disposal. I hate doing it, but I have to do it because I can only eat something 4 days in a row, and then I don't want to sit again for 6 months. I'm assuming you're probably a lot like that too. You know, you can just take it so many days. I think about the only thing that you can take day after day is like my parents. Bacon and eggs every morning for breakfast. Biscuits, ham and eggs. You never get tired of eggs, I don't think, if you like eggs at all. And I haven't been eating any lately, and this expert says, oh, eggs are good for you. You need those. Another expert says, don't eat eggs. Well, I just play it by ear. If I get hungry for eggs, I'm going to have eggs. So then I can worry about the consequences later. So what I want to tell you today is an old story. I think you'll like it. If you've got a good sense of humor, or maybe a little bit of crazy sense of humor that I sometimes have myself, I think you'll like this story. It goes back about 26 years. Now, I was living in Tennessee then. My mother had been placed in a nursing home, and she was 99 years old. It was time she needed extra care. And, of course, I couldn't be with her that much because I was still working, and I could only visit on the weekend. So, out of the 6 sisters, we could take turns staying with her during the day, and then she had someone to sit with her at night. Now, she was one of their better residents there, because when you're 99 years old and you still have a good memory, good mind, and you can argue with the nurses and the aides and get your way, you're doing pretty good. So, one of my sisters also lived in the same town with me, and we would sometimes travel together across Jellico Mountain to visit Mom on the weekend. Now, for 2.5 years, I visited my mother every weekend. And I always took her some little something that I would make, because it had to be something I knew she liked and could eat, because she had false teeth, and it wasn't easy for her to choose something. So I made sure it was things that she could eat, and she would usually tell me what she wanted. So I'll do that on Friday night, get up early Saturday morning and head across the mountain to Kentucky. 70-mile drive every weekend, 2.5 years. Now, I call myself a good daughter. I don't know what you think about it, but I did what I could do because I still had to work for a living. Now, we've just visited my mother this weekend, and she never likes it when I leave. She begs me to stay, and of course I have to keep explaining to her, Mom, I've got to make a living. I can't just come home. She said, well, you can live with me. She thought I would live with her and share her Social Security. No, that wouldn't work. But she'd never give in. I think she just liked to argue. So, my sister and I were coming back from Kentucky, climbing the mountain up to Jellico Mountain. And now let me tell you, you've never been south on I-75 crossing Jellico Mountain, you don't know what I'm talking about, so I have to explain. That is a steep mountain. If you're in the right lane going south, you can look over and you're looking at the clouds below you. Clouds are over here. And way down below is the ground. You can't see it at all. And I always have had that fear of veering off the side of the mountain and they'd never find me. Also hated going across the mountain in the wintertime, because there was always snow there when there wasn't down in the town where I lived. You could count on snow on the mountain. And I was always afraid coming back from Kentucky that it would be slick and I'd be going right over the side of the mountain. Now I've got a picture of the top of that mountain when there was a road slide. Now, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, that means you've got the left lane and the right lane, and part of the right lane had cut away from the highway. Now, I've been there once when that happened. Didn't expect it, didn't know it had happened. I'm coming up to the steepest part of the hill, and here are those big orange cones, that they put on the road. Move over to the left lane. And I looked and I said, oh my gosh, the road has cut away and it's going to slide down that mountain. Now that's a scary feeling. And I just always wondered who the person was that discovered it first. That would make you a little nervous. So I know what that's like. And I know I've been at the bottom of the mountain by taking the old road, and it's a long way down. All right, let's get back to my story. I'm driving my white Buick LeSabre. That's the prettiest and best car I ever had. I loved that car. For one thing, it had a sedan seat. Wouldn't you just love to have a car again that had a seat that went all the way across, and you didn't have bucket seats and the gear shift in between? I love those cars. So we're almost to the top of the mountain, and traffic pretty big, pretty heavy. I'm in the passing lane. There's a car in front of me. In the right lane is an 18-wheeler and a car in front of him. Well, he can't move on ahead because the car in front of him won't pick up speed. He can't get in the passing lane because I'm there and a car is in front of me that won't pick up speed. So I'm just staying with the traffic. You might as well take it as it is, because there's nothing you can do to change it. So we're driving along, and all of a sudden there's this beep, beep, beep. Car behind me is right on my bumper. He's not 6 inches away. He wants me to get out of the way so he can come on past. Well, where does he think I'm going to go? There's no place for me to go. That 18-wheeler's not moving, and the car in front of him's not moving. So, again, it's a beep, beep, beep. Now, that can get on your nerves after a few beeps. And you just want to put on your brakes, turn the key off, get out of your car and say, "Mister, there's nothing I can do. Now, if you want to get over on the other side of the highway, you can. But I can't get out of the way until these people get out of my way." Well, we're right at the top of the mountain now. Now, this is where I do get nervous, because I don't know what Bubba, that's what I'm going to call him, I don't know what Bubba's going to do. And he's what you'd call a real Tennessee redneck, a Jeff Foxworthy redneck, all the way, 100%. It was obvious. He was driving this big, long, I think it was an Oldsmobile, diarrhea green. Have you ever seen a diarrhea green car? Well, they're not pretty, especially when they've got rust on them. And I thought, now, Bubba, you're just going to have to get your hand off that horn. I'm not going anywhere. Ellie Mae's going to keep those pinto beans and that cornbread hot for you till you get home. So just settle down. Well, he didn't settle down. Beep, beep, beep. I've had enough. I've had enough. But then I noticed the car in front of the 18-wheeler moves on ahead, picks up speed. No, before that, the car in front of me picks up speed and gets over into the right lane. Well, now I've got to get over so that Bubba can move on up the highway. Finally, the cars on the right pick up speed again, and the 18-wheeler gets out of my way, and I can move over and let Bubba go on up the road. Now, my sister's in the passenger seat, and she's a good one to give advice. In fact, you don't want her driving across that mountain, because you want to make sure you get there alive. Well, I get over to the right, and Bubba starts passing me on the left. And I can tell he's glaring at me, but I don't look, I don't let on like he's even there. But a little light flashes in my brain, and for some strange reason, just as he passes side by side with my car, and I know he's looking at me, I have the urge to do this. I didn't even look. He goes on by, on up the road ahead. Everything's fine now. But all of a sudden I notice I'm catching up with him. How can that be? Because I haven't picked up speed. Uh-oh. I'm not catching up with him. He has slowed down so that I can catch up with him. He's waiting for me. Well, my sister notices it too. And he's coming back this way. We're driving along, and he's up here, and this is the way it comes, and we're side by side. My sister starts with the finger. You've done it now. You've done it now. I looked at her and I said, you smile, you keep looking straight ahead and talking to me, and you're as happy as you can be. But don't you dare look over at that car, because that's what he's waiting for. And I just kept talking, I kept smiling. And she's still saying, you've done it now. And I was ready to reach over and bite her finger off. Finally, I think Bubba got the hint. He was not getting the attention he wanted from me. So he moves on up ahead. Now we're ready to go down the other side of the mountain now. We've gotten to the top, we're up here, and now it's time to go back down the other side. Right down at the bottom of the hill, there's an overpass with those big abutments underneath, you know, where you pass under the overpass. And I'm thinking to myself, he's down there somewhere. He's hiding behind those abutments. He's waiting for me. And I was getting a little bit edgy because I wasn't real sure that he might just be there. And of course my sister wouldn't keep her mouth shut, and I'm gritting my teeth. We get down to the bottom of the hill, and no, he's not here. He's not here. So we're moving on up the highway, but I'm still uneasy. I'm thinking, he's watching me, and he's going to follow me all the way home. Now we take exit 22. That gets us off the interstate, and we're 10 miles from home. And I'm keeping my eye on my rear view mirror because any minute that diarrhea green car is going to show itself. I just know it is. But obviously, he was too anxious to get home to his cornbread and pinto beans, so he didn't show himself. But I still kept looking, expecting Bubba to show up. Now, the moral of the story is, keep your hands on the steering wheel and watch that finger. It can get you in trouble. So, that's my story for today. Now, I want to show you these little dishes. Look at these little dishes. Aren't they beautiful? I got these dishes with a set at an estate sale. And it's the first time I'd ever gone to an estate sale and bought anything like this. And I was just tickled pink when I got home with them. And the cups and the plates, they're just beautiful. And there's a serving bowl, covered serving dish. I should have gotten that out so you could see it. But one of these days I'm going to invite somebody in. We're going to have a fancy little luncheon or tea. Something I've always wanted to do. So I hope you can see this. Maybe if you zoom your camera, you can see the design. There's a little gold around the edge and pretty pink flowers. And this is called Lefton China, made in England. I may get rid of some of my other dishes, but I won't get rid of these because I really, really like them. Now, for Christmas dinner, my granddaughter was here and my daughter was here. And I'll show you these dishes. You've seen them before already. But for some strange reason, I just fell in love with these dishes, and they came from Goodwill. They look like little leaves, long branches of leaves, with little red specks on the edges. Take a close look. I had 4 place settings of the, I'd say this is a bread and butter plate, of the salad plate. Here you're not seeing them. Get them up here where you can see them. That is the bread and butter plate. And this is the salad plate. And your dinner plate. I only had 1 dinner plate. I went on eBay and I wanted to check out the dishes. I didn't know anything about them. They're also made in, I think, these may be, yeah, these made in the USA, I think. Back in about 1971. Just beautiful. And every time I want to set a table, these seem to be the colors that work. You can see the red platter here, and I've got the really nice red placemats. So these are the ones I like to use. Well, with only 1 dinner plate, I needed 3 more. So I found 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I found 4 on eBay. And my daughter deals with eBay a lot, and it'd been a long time since I'd ordered anything, so I said, will you order those 4 plates for me? So she did. And I got them just a few days later. These are beautiful dishes. And what I discovered was they're also expensive. Now let me show you the little soup cups. I call them soup cups. I don't know what anybody else calls them. But this is one of the things that always gets my attention, is when I see a double-handled little dish like this. Now see the design. Isn't that pretty? Makes you want to set your table and go out and buy a T-bone steak, a salad, and a glass of iced tea, and you've got it made. You've got everything you want right there. So, I'm going to pack these back up. They need to be put away, and I haven't figured out where I'm going to put them yet, because I'm running out of storage space. Here's one of my Fostoria candy dishes. This is a small one. See what it looks like? Well, you might need to see it a little closer too, so you can get the exact design. This is called Fostoria American. A lot of people are collecting it now. And I think the main reason they're collecting it is because this was one of the main patterns that Grandma collected, your great aunt collected. And they're gone now. And the families don't want these things anymore, so they're taking them to Goodwill. Here's one. Here's another style. See this one? See how pretty that is? The little handle on the top. Now, here's a little dessert dish. You can get these little dishes in about 4 different styles. You've got the longer stems and even longer stems, and then the short, fat ones, and well, you see what I'm showing you. And I looked and I looked till I found, oh, this isn't it. This is another. This is This is a candle holder I found in western Kentucky a couple months ago. And I just fell in love with it. It was in a little Amish store. And of course I don't have a candle right here. It was a little Amish store, and I looked at that and I thought, oh, I love that 3-candle holder. And $1.75. I almost felt guilty when I handed her the money. And as I went out the door, I just slipped $2 in her hand and said, it's worth this. Gave her an extra $2 for this candle holder, and I think it's beautiful. So those are just a few of the little pieces. I've got a pretty good selection of Astoria American. And of course, as I told you earlier in another video, this was the piece I wanted. I've got the round cake stand. Now I've got the square one. Square one is sometimes can be pretty expensive. Sometimes people get a really good bargain and can get it for $5, $10, $15. But you have to be careful. You have to do a lot of looking in order to get something like this at that price, because with the way it's made, it could have chips. It'd be so easy to chip. But this one is in perfect condition, and I was thrilled when my daughter had handed me the box that this was in. Now I'm going to have to cut this cake, and I like lemon cake. So, blood sugar or no sugar, I'm going to be eating lemon cake tomorrow, not tonight, because in the morning I'll check my blood sugar, and I don't want it to be up high. So I'll wait after I check my blood sugar, and then I'll eat the cake. You can figure that out, can't you? Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It's been a while since I got to talk to you, and I was beginning to think, if I don't come up with a good story or a good recipe or something, I'm going to lose my viewers. I don't want to lose my viewers. I want to gain more viewers. I want them to show an interest in the things I like. I'm going to be going to a, what is called Beautiful Table Settings website. And they are going to have a big bash, that's what it's called, in Alabama in March. So my daughter, I didn't even have to talk her into going with me, because she'd have to do the driving. And this, we went last year, and I didn't have to convince her to go. She just showed interest, and off we went. So we decided we were going to go again this year, and we're taking a friend with us. In fact, we're hoping to meet another friend. This person is a Facebook friend of mine. Well, it's fairly new. And the lady going with us had recommended that he make friends with me, and he did. So he lives near this little town in Alabama, and we're hoping to get to meet him. I'll see him in person. Fantastic man. Very, very nice. Very nice. Very good stories. He tells wonderful stories. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to replacements will be there. They're going to have a big table display. And I'm anxious to see what they bring with them. I think there'll probably be about 20 different tables displaying their goods and selling them. And we have speakers, demonstrations, and wonderful lunches. And then Jan and I and our friend Susan, we're going to be out and about for a couple of days, going from one thrift shop to another. And last year, I bought those 2 candy dishes for about $2 a piece. Bargain. I bought 2 sets of glasses, 8 glasses in each set. I think they were $2 each. I ran into a very good deal. That took care of my supply of glasses that I needed, because I had 3 different sizes. Now I've got what I need to serve a nice big table, and I'm going to be using my Fostoria American. I hope you like it enough that you go out and you start looking for it. You can go on a website called Fostoria American, and you can see the many pieces they have. And if you see something that you aren't sure about, and you think, well, I don't know, because there are lookalikes, but there are certain things you look for in these pieces that will tell you if it's the real Fostoria American. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about starting a new collection. And I enjoy just looking at the pieces I have. I'm just amazed at the number of pieces I have collected, and the majority of them came out of a Goodwill or a thrift shop. And I don't have very much money tied up in these things. I just hope that someday one of my grandchildren will like them well enough to want to continue the collection and to use my Fostoria American. So that's about it for today. I'm going to try to come up with some good stories. I think my problem is I've written the stories, I've read them, and I've rewritten, and I've read them, and they're getting old with me. But I'll tell you this, yesterday I was looking through my YouTube videos, and at my age you get a little bit forgetful, and I thought, well, what was this one about? And I sat there for 30 minutes watching myself, not knowing what I was going to say next. The video, the story, was as new to me as it was to you. Now, I don't know if you can figure that out or not, but it was good enough for me, and I thought, I kind of like that story. I'm going to have to watch it again sometime soon. You keep watching me. Stay with me. I've got on a turquoise shirt. I've only got 5 of them, so I never know which one's the one I like best. But it's colorful, and it improves me a little bit. And I'm going to say goodnight. I've had my dinner, all leftovers, but they were pretty good. And tomorrow I think I'm going to fix a bowl of potato salad. Shouldn't be eating potato salad. Potatoes have a lot of sugar in them. But who listens to what the doctor says? Not me. You stay with me, folks. I really enjoy telling stories to you. And let me turn this around a little bit. Now you can see me up close. See my necklace? I didn't make this one. I made a lot of my jewelry. Well, here I go. I'm making a mess of things. Okay, it's time for a haircut and a new perm. So maybe I'll have one the next time you see me. Good night, and be good.